Hi, I'm Jamie Lee. I'm the Executive Editor at MM+M. I'm here today with David Stievater, Director of Hippocrates Solutions Design at Athenahealth. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
What are some of the trends you expect to see take root in 2017?
There are a couple of things that I think we're going to start to see more of. And a couple of them have to do with providers, who are the primary customer of Athenahealth. And we see in 2017 the emergence of what I would refer to as primary care 2.0. This is really a kind of next iteration of the primary care practice. Lots of things playing into that: value-based reimbursement, Medicare Advantage, trying to think about ways to truly provide better population care. And so you can look at examples like Harkin Clinic, which is owned by Optum Care, and they work with Iora Health. Look at Oak Street Health. Those are both PE-backed organizations. But Anthem actually is, the former WellPoint owns CareMore. And they also have an approach to working with a primary care and elderly population, which is very different. I think we're going to see the emergence of more of those models and the kind of the solidifying of those models next year. Related to providers also, I think you're going to start to see the emergence of kind of national brands. We've already seen some with Cleveland Clinic, Mayo, MD Anderson. They do a lot of national branding. But there's something much more intentional about the strategy, for example, of Boston Children's. Boston Children's is investing $1 billion in an expansion, which is opposed by a lot of people in Boston because they can't see why we need all that extra capacity. And I think part of the reason is Boston Children's is looking to expand outside of the Massachusetts market. I think you're also going to see what I would refer to as the emergence of truly big tech. You know, we talk a lot about big data. I call it big tech. You've got your Apple, your Google, you've got now Amazon. So I think you're going to really see the emergence in 2017 of a lot more mainstream applications for those big tech companies. And then finally, something that's near and dear to Athenahealth's heart, interoperability. So interoperability is a major issue for our healthcare system. We as Athenahealth care deeply about it because we need access to patient information in order to best serve our providers and our patients. But all aspects of the health system need information to flow where it needs to go. There are a lot of issues with respect to the programs that are being pushed by our current administration, the Precision Medicine Initiative and Cancer Moonshot and a couple of others. We need the information to get where it needs to go, and the 21st Century Cures Act is actually going to directly address that through both additional powers to the OIG and some reorganization of what's been called the Office of National Coordinator, ONC. They're going to be replaced by, at least we believe this will be something like an HIT advisory committee. And so that will have some powers to enforce penalties for information blocking and really just encourage more information sharing.
And what do you think has changed over the last year to kind of create room for these types of trends to emerge?
Well, I just mentioned the 21st Century Cures Act. There are going to be a lot of things emerging out of that that are going to impact the healthcare system across all of the things we talk about: value-based reimbursement, the way that the FDA approaches the drug approval process, funding for the NIH, all kinds of things are included in that act. In fact, a lot of people are referring to it as the 21st Century Christmas tree because it has so many different gifts for so many different parts of the constituency. So that's a piece of it. And of course, we're going to be looking at how President-elect Trump approaches repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act.
If you could sum up 2017 in one word, what would it be?
I would have said pricing, drug pricing to be specific. There is a lot about drug pricing that's going to remain relevant, but I think that the focus for 2017 and the next 4 years is going to be how our new administration approaches a lot of different things in healthcare. So I would have to say Trump is the word.
Over the last year, we saw companies like Apple and IBM move further into the healthcare space. Do you expect to see that trend continue?
I do, very much so. In fact, what you're starting to see with these types of companies is there is no way for them to avoid getting into the healthcare space. Healthcare is a $3.2 trillion part of our economy. And so for Google, for Facebook, for Amazon, and other big tech companies, they're going to be looking for opportunities to make healthcare a pillar of what they do.
What role will the use of data and analytics play this year?
One of the things that the 21st Century Cures Act is going to allow, or really encourage, is better information sharing. For example, the Precision Medicine initiative and the Cancer Moonshot initiative really depend on the ability to get access to patient data. So I think you're going to see a lot with population health where you have both EHR vendors that offer population health, third parties, standalone companies, even someone like IBM now owns a population health company. There's going to be ways to try to put all of that data together in ways that benefit patients.
It's becoming much harder to successfully launch a drug in the new climate. What do you think drug makers can do to ensure better launches in the future?
You know, a lot of the challenges with launching new drugs are recruiting patients. And I think that some of the technologies that we have today are going to, and some of the companies that are emerging, there are companies like ePatient Finder and Trial Reach and others that are looking at harnessing the technologies today to access patients in ways that weren't possible even 5 years ago. The 21st Century Cures Act is going to actually make it easier in some respects to get products into and through the FDA pipeline. It's intentional that happens. I think part of the challenge is just the nature of the drugs that are being developed today. You know, we have actually run through a lot of the, I hesitate to call them easier conditions to treat because they certainly weren't easy at the time, but small molecule drugs are a little bit more straightforward than the biologics and the very complicated cancer therapies and cocktails that we look at. So I think that our understanding of the human genome is going to play into all this as well, and I think that going forward we're going to have to really work the pharmaceutical industry hand in hand with the FDA to try to streamline the process, and I think the 21st Century Cures Act is going to play a part in that.
David, thank you so much for being here.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.